Just taking a couple of deep breaths, hands on heart, hands on belly, maybe a few big sighs. Filling up with new, shaking out the old, whatever you're ready to let go of, whatever stress or tension you can let go of. And I'm calling this class today Singing the Heart Electric, because the heart has just been so fascinating. And the last one of these that I did the heart being hugged, and the embrace of the lungs hugging the heart. So the sense of flow and movement of the natural rhythms of the body has been really fascinating to follow along with. So the invitation in this class is to take it in any way that feels good for you. You can be laying down, you can get up, you can move, you cannot move, but allowing the micro movements in the body to really bubble up. And I just want to read a couple of things because the electricity of the body, I think, is really interesting. So what I started with thinking about are a couple of things. Electricity is, so this is from, where is this from? This is from the University of Maryland. Electricity is everywhere in the human body. Our cells are specialized to conduct electrical currents. Electricity is required for the nervous system to send signals throughout the body and to the brain, making it possible for us to move, think, and feel. And which organ in the body produces electricity? This is from the University of Western Australia. The heart. Electrical stimuli are generated in the sinus node of the heart in the upper chamber. So depending on your size, age, and fitness level, the heart will produce this electrical stimulus between 60 to 100 times per minute. And then the final thing that I was curious about is, what is this electricity in your body called? Excitable cells. Movement of the ions across the cell membranes generates an electrical pulse known as an action potential. Our nervous system uses these action potentials to send signals around our body. That's University of Western Australia. So when we do humming, it increases the nitric oxide in our body. When we hum and then we inhale back through our nose, that the sounds so sort of mechanical, but really this is a live living process. But the humming in the turbine of our nose creates more nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it is affecting the endothelium, the cell lining walls of our heart and our vascular structure. And even there are microvascular structures within our nerves. So this is a very interwoven, interrelated body that we're talking about. So we're going to start with the humming, and we're going to invite any kind of micro movement, but we're starting with that humming to calm and send loving kindness to our own hearts and to our own electrical fire body, right? The energy moving through our body along with this fluid blood flow. So working with humming for a few minutes. Just let the hum last as long as it feels good, and then inhale through your nose when you finish your hum. And to take a resting breath anytime you need to. The nitric oxide is also an antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. So it has many properties that are working in a symbiotic way with the health of our system, especially our blood flow. So I'm playing a little bit with the movement of my tongue, sort of in the horizontal plane of my mouth, giving it some mobility and some micro movement, some macro movement, just letting that shift shift around the way that I sense the vibration in my head and in my throat. So give your tongue some play in that movement and just notice how you receive the sound. Allowing that breath flow, the lung movement to embrace and pulse the heart. And also the movement of the diaphragm is sending this sort of huggy pressure up and huggy pressure down as the diaphragm is moving up and down. So the diaphragm is also on the bottom part, touching into the heart, but the lungs as well, getting this nice flow. And then one more thing I want to think about is the pulsing, that there's a push and then sort of a wait and then a push and a wait, that there's this natural pulse happening on this deep embodied level with our blood flow. So there's this sort of natural expansion and contraction going on at all times, this pulsing flow. And feeling into that, noticing that there's a stillness and then movement, and a stillness, or even in the stillness, there's movement, but it's a different kind. There's a push forward and then a little bit of a pause and a push and a pause. So feeling into that. Maybe even feeling into the space at the end of your inhale and then the space at the end of your exhale. These sort of liminal places at the edges. And tuning into those rhythms, the breath rhythm, the pulse and heart rhythm. And allowing the breath to bring in a sense of lightness to the body, and the blood flow to bring in a sense of strength. The heart is strong. There's a lightness of the lungs and the tissues, a sort of suspension with the breath and even with that pulse. Allowing our cells to breathe within that movement. So there's this pulsing, deep cellular breathing going on throughout the whole body. Tuning into the elasticity of being. Elasticity and flow. I'm going to add music. This is going to actually be Anthony. Allowing your body to be still or in movement in whatever way feels good. If it's easy to feel what's uncomfortable, try to also find what feels good in your body, or even the impulse to move when it feels good, the impulse to arise and let something happen in any way. letting the pulsing blood flow, kind of like that underlying drone, and then the breath flow, kind of like the flute, just dance with each other. The electrical impulses moving intelligently through your body, generated in the heart. So one more thing to think about is that this is fascinating to me, that the blood flow is traveling out to the very distal edges of our body. It's the arterial flow. And then as it returns, it's coming in the venous flow, right? So we're nourishing on the way out, and we're removing waste. We're clearing and emptying out what we need to let go of on the return. So feeling into, again, that place where that shift happens of nourishing, and then composting, right? Recycling, releasing, removing. Equally important. And then one little extra thing in this blood flow, this electrical pulsing of the heart, is that I totally lost my thought. I'll tell you in a second. The pressure, like we're like pressure systems, like weather. And so the further away from the heart, the higher pressure we need to move towards the low pressure into the heart. High pressure is moving towards the low pressure. So we're feeling this differentiated pressure systems within our whole body. Maybe we feel them. Maybe it's a little bit on the subtle level. But letting yourself pulse into that, awakening these distal edges of the fingers and the toes, where the shift happens. And honoring the electrical impulses that are moving through our whole nervous system, right? The impulse to move, where does that come from? Even the impulse to be in stillness, right? There's a choice in your nervous system, in your brain, in your feeling body. and opening up your awareness and your sensation to receive these different dynamic qualities of being. Dynamic qualities of flow. And imagining, what does that electrical impulse look like moving through my body? What kind of pathways is that electrical impulse taking? We spend so much time, we've got the flows of the air and the flows of the water, the flows of the fluids. What are the electrical flows like? They're all happening, whether you think about them or not. Is our lovingness a fluid or an electricity? What kind of flow does our love and our heart energy have? Combo platter, all the things, the full buffet of possibilities. Right? The vasculature is moving, microvasculature is moving through our nerves, supporting even that nerve structure with electrical flow, with nourishment. I just watched a Gil Headley video about nerves and neurons. I'll put it in the description underneath. Giving yourself permission to really feel into the expression of being within your body. And if there's anything that you're ready to let go of, any extra gripping, holding, constriction, feel free to just invite the body to compost that. If you feel like you're in something very familiar, try changing something a little bit. When we're in the familiar, we're in our normal pattern. If we want to give a little bit more possibility, and sometimes we need that. Sometimes we really need to come back to that familiarity, that, oh, this is me, I can feel okay here. But if we want to expand our possibilities, maybe let go of some things, we want to become curious about those edges of the patterning, where the shift happens, the action potentials are happening. The filling up and the letting go, or the pulsing of the breath. Bringing back the hum anytime you want to, bringing in that nitric oxide. Imagining the nitric oxide moving into your endothelium, the cell linings of your vascular system and your heart. Inviting the intelligence of your own system to move towards healing, to move towards health, to move towards flow, letting go of rigidity, letting go of constriction, letting go of your own limited thinking, allowing yourself to be vast and infinite potential. No need to do anything to do that. It's almost more about letting go of things, to just allow yourself to notice what's there. The flow of electricity. The electrical current in your own body. Thinking of the back body, the back of the heart, the front of the heart, the sides, the up and the down. Big three-dimensional heart inside your body. They say it's the size of a fist. When I enclose my front, I'm opening my back. When I open my front, I'm enclosing my back. When I move, I'm drawing that blood flow into different parts of my body. I'm hydrating the spaces, the interstitial fluids moving around, creating the capacity for shear and elasticity in this biomorphic system, this tensegrity, this living, biomorphic, organic body, dynamic experience of being, right? And when I tune into all these sensations, I can really arrive right here, right now, feeling into it. And maybe images and stories are floating around out there. That's okay. They can be there. Just try to stay present with your feeling sensation, with the flow, any of the flows, the breath flow, the blood flow, the life flow, the electrical flow. People take entheogens or psychedelics to feel differently or to experience something different. But if we just allow ourselves to experience our own body with different movement patterns, we can have those experiences. We don't need to take anything to feel different. Allow yourself to move differently. Tune into your different flows. But sometimes that can be destabilizing. We feel like, oh my God, what's going on? You could always come back to stillness or walk around, have some water, pet your cat, play with the dog. Find the anchors that make you feel safe, that you can always come back to. And when you can come back to those anchors, you may be able to travel further away into the realm of possibility, just in your own embodiment, in your own sensations, in your own flow, in your own body mind. Right. I said this last time, even to have an out of body experience, you have to have a body. You can't have one without it. And these shifting flows will be with you as long as you're alive. This breath flow, this life force. Forgiving yourself for anything that went wrong, that you did wrong, that you messed up. Forgiving yourself, forgiving your own heart, forgiving your body, forgiving, letting go, letting that stuff compost away, maybe forgiving some other people while you're at it. Forgiving, setting yourself free of that energy, of that holding and that contraction of resentment or anger, especially if it's at yourself. But if it's at other people, that's also really helpful. Creating space in your heart by letting go, letting the blood, the venous flow carry away the toxic stuff, the stuff that we're finished with, the waste. letting it compost. Making room for gratitude. And the fire element, which I kind of feel like your passion, your life force, the electrical impulses in your body. Fire can just burn away the stuff. It can just be gone instantly. It doesn't have to be a big process of letting go and this and that. It can just be, whoop, I'm free of that. That's gone. Instant. Just one more thought with this blood heart flow, and that is that blood is considered a connective tissue because of it's got fibrous coagulating capacities, right? So there's even an earthy element within just our blood. So this whole system, that's electricity and fluid and fire and air, oxygen moving through there, all those elements are within that system. It's not just one. We can tune into any of them. I'm going to fade that out. So that second music was Jeff Gersh, Ambient Fields. It's on Bandcamp. I'll try and make sure that I put all my references into the description after the end of this video. Maybe just coming back to the hum, just for a couple of hums before we end it. Beginning, ending in a similar manner. So much of this information, like this humming breath, this is a part of yoga and pranayama. Like this has been, people have known about this for thousands of years. Even though now we're talking about the nitric oxide and all the wonderful thing it does, it's not new material. I've been really lucky to have Lord Gaylord with me for the second portion of this whole session. He's always attracted to this type of work, but especially like if Anthony starts doing some Tai Chi or Qigong, then Gaylord's in on the mix. Little radar goes out. Something's happening in the house. I got to get over there. It's energetic work. Let me get in. So I'm going to end the live stream. If you made it this far, bravo, brava, thank you. Even in the field, even if it's at a different time, we're still in this field together. The timelessness factor comes in. I can breathe into